Okay, so this is Autodesk Inventor, and in here we're going to be making a virtual woodshop project, the pencil box. To start everything off, we're going to make a new project folder, and I already had one in here from before, but we're going to ignore that. Say new, single user project, project name we're going to call pencil box, and it's going to give me an error, but I don't care. You would click finish, and then make sure that there's a check mark next to pencil box. This is going to create a file in your documents called Inventor, and inside that a new file called pencil box, and anything that you save from this will save into this folder. For every project we do, you want to make a new project folder. Hit done, and now we're going to open up a new part file. And at the new page we have the options of creating parts, creating assemblies of multiple parts, drawings for somebody else to follow if they're going to go through and make your project, and a presentation which allows you to take your assemblies and pull them apart so you can see inside detail. So let's just make a standard part file. You can double click or hit create. And now the first thing you do whenever you have a blank window like this is in the top left there's some kind of useful button. This time it's make a 2D sketch, and we're going to draw it on this plane. Select rectangle. So first we're going to make a 2x4, and a 2x4, click on dimension, select your line. 2x4 is actually 3.5 inches wide. Select a new line, click outside of it. It is 1.5 inches tall, and we talked about that because it is S4S lumber. They actually take off a 1/4 inch from each side. A 1/4 and a 1/4 makes a half, so instead of 2 inches it's 1.5. Instead of 4 inches it's 3.5. Okay, finish your sketch. Select extrude. Extrude is going to give it some depth. Let's click on the house symbol so we can see what's going on. And we are going to, sorry, I should show that. There's a little down arrow here. Make sure you check that. You'll get more options. We're going to make this 10 inches long. Click on your house button again. And now here's our block of 2x4. To make it look a little better, we're going to change this from generic and scroll all the way down our list. We'll make it cherry. It's the closest we can get to pine right now. Okay, so now it looks more like a block of wood, and now we're going to start manipulating it. So let's make a new sketch on here, and let's choose rectangle again. Okay. So we're going to start to remove the left and the right side from this object. So I drew a rectangle right in the middle of it, and we're going to remove the material that's on either side. We want these to be 0.125 thick. It's 1/8 of an inch, but the saw has a thickness to it. The saw is also about 1/8 inch thick. So 2/8 is 1/4, and that is 0.25. So we are going to dimension this to be a 1/4 inch from each side. Finish your sketch. And this time with extrude, we can choose cut. And this is going to represent cutting off the left and right side of your project. Okay. Now we're going to come in, right click on this side, make a new sketch. And we're going to use rectangle again. And we're going to draw just a few rectangles in here. This is going to be to lay out what we need to cut off from the project. So first off, we're going to lay these out to be 1/4 of an inch from the top and 1/4 of an inch from the bottom. we want these to be 0.25 and 0.625. And the same thing on this side. Make sure this is 0.25. And from this line to this line is 0.625. Okay, now I'm going to select all of these things that I just created. If it'll let me, you may have to hit escape first. Click and drag a green box around the things. We're going to select construction line. And this is letting the program know that these are not actual lines. These are like if you had the physical block of wood, you're drawing on it with pencil. Say these are guidelines for what I'm about to do. Okay, that being said, let's select arc. And we're going to make a small arc here and a small arc here. Now the students in class will not be able to measure how much of an arc they are making, but because we're using a computer, we can. We're going to dimension this to be 1 inch in diameter, or actually it's a 1 inch radius from the center out to a point is radius, from one side of the circle to the other side of the circle's diameter. Set those both to 1 inch, and we are going to be cutting out this top part first. This is the lid of the box. Alright, and we're also going to go ahead and sketch, so right click, make a new sketch. On the top of this, something similar. We're going to select line and construction. We're going to draw, as if with pencil, across the top here from corner to corner, and here from corner to corner. Anytime you have a four-sided shape, if you make an X on it from corner to corner, use some kind of a straight edge or a ruler or anything that's going to give you a straight line, that'll find the exact center of an object. So we're going to turn off construction, select point, and if we hover over the middle of that X, it'll give us a green dot. It's a snap point. We'll put a single point there. Finish your sketch, and we're going to select hole. And this symbolizes coming in with a drill and drilling into this piece of material. We will make sure it's a distance, because we have the options of all the way through the object or to a certain depth. We're going to select distance. It's only going to go down a ½ inch, so 0.5. And we're going to make the diameter of that, see the lines that are showing the width of this hole, 0.625. And that's big enough that most people can fit their finger inside and lift the lid off of this. Now I want you to notice, if I look at a right side view, that's extending down below where our lid is. So when we select extrude, we're going to be cutting out just the lid piece, which right now it doesn't want us to. We may have to go back and add an extra line up to the top part here. So we're going to double click on sketch 3, select line, and go from point to point, and finish your sketch. We're going to extrude, cut, and now it will let us select the lid. And I'm going to click on the house so you can see what's happening. We're removing this whole piece of material. We don't need it to extrude out 10 inches. So I'm going to change this from distance to all, and it's just showing the lid removed. Okay, so now we can't see it in this drawing because we're only going to draw one piece at a time, but we would now have a left and a right side piece and a lid piece that are all somewhere else, but we are only making the body in this video. So let's come back to our sketch 3. I want to still use this, so I'm going to check visibility. So you have to right click first, it gives you extra options, and select visibility. We're going to make a new sketch, so I'm going to right click here, new sketch. I'm going to draw back in with lines to connect to my construction lines, my pencils that I had already laid out. Finish our sketch, and actually the other students in class are going to be coming in and they're going to be cutting out one piece first. Let's see if it'll let me do this. We're going to extrude, cut. You take out one piece first, set your distance to all, and then they would go back and take out the other piece so that they're left with just this base piece here. We are now finished. I'm going to set it back to our home view. It brings everything into view. I'm going to right click and turn visibility off of this sketch, and we are going to save this as our pencil box base.